Hello everyone. Welcome to Fluent English Journey. I am really happy to see you here today. Before we start, make sure to subscribe to our channel. By subscribing, you will get new tips about English every single day, and these tips will help you speak more naturally and confidently. Today, we are going to talk about something very important for everyone learning English. We will discuss how to speak English naturally and confidently. Have you ever been in a conversation where you understand everything perfectly, but when it's your turn to speak, you cannot find the right words? Or maybe you pause for a few seconds because you are not sure how to express a simple idea. Don't worry. This happens to almost everyone learning English. And the good news is that you can improve it with practice. Today, I will show you daily sentences and phrases that you can use to make your English sound smooth, natural, and easy. We will go beyond the basic greetings like hello or how are you, and look at expressions that native English speakers often use in everyday life. Let's start with greetings. Many learners only say hello or how are you. These are correct, but in real conversations, people often use slightly longer sentences that show interest in the other person's life. For example, instead of asking just, how are you? You can ask, how has your week been so far? How are things going on your end today? These sentences sound more personal and friendly. When someone answers, you can go beyond the simple I am fine or I am good. You can say, I've been keeping busy with work and a few personal projects. How about you? Things have been going well, though it's been a hectic week. How are you managing everything? These small additions make the conversation feel real and show that you care about the other person's life. Using these natural phrases will help you sound more fluent and confident when talking with friends, colleagues, or even new people. Another important part of speaking English naturally is expressing your opinion. Many learners say I think or I feel. These are correct, but sometimes they sound basic and may not fully show confidence. There are better ways to share your thoughts. For example, you can say, from my perspective, this approach works best because. If you ask me, the key factor is, I would argue that this solution is more efficient for everyone involved. These phrases make your English sound confident and fluent. People also give advice or suggestions in daily conversations. Instead of saying, you should do this, which can sound too direct, you can soften it naturally using phrases like, it might help if you try this. You may want to consider. One option could be, these sentences are polite, friendly, and natural in English. Using these small changes in everyday conversations can make a big difference. The goal is to move from basic textbook English to speaking in a way that feels real, confident, and smooth. Practicing these expressions regularly will help you avoid long pauses, speak more fluently, and feel comfortable expressing yourself. Remember, learning English is not just about grammar or vocabulary. It's about how you use words to connect with people naturally. By adding small details, showing interest in others, and expressing opinions clearly, your English will improve quickly. Soon, you will notice that conversations feel easier, more enjoyable, and less stressful. When you want to make suggestions or give advice, there are many ways to say it politely and naturally. For example, it might be helpful to consider. One option you might explore is, have you thought about trying? These variations make your English sound polite, professional, and friendly. They are perfect for work conversations, group projects, or casual chats. Using these phrases shows that you are thoughtful and careful with your words, which is something advanced English speakers do naturally. Talking about past experiences is another important part of speaking English well. Many learners use simple past sentences like, I went to Paris last year, which is correct. But you can make your sentences more interesting and natural by adding reflection or context. For example, I had the chance to experience something truly unique when I traveled last summer. Looking back, I realized that taking that course really shaped the way I approach work. These sentences show thoughtfulness, which is a key part of speaking English fluently. Requests are another way to improve your daily English. Instead of using short phrases like, "Can you help me?" or "Please do this," you can make your sentences longer, polite, and natural. For example, "Would you mind giving me a hand with this task? I would really appreciate it if you could review this document for me. If it is not too much trouble, could you assist me with this?" These sentences are widely used in offices, schools, and daily life. They make you sound polite, respectful, and confident without being too direct. Small talk is another area where learners can improve a lot. Many people ask, "What do you do?" This is fine, but it can feel short and not very engaging. Instead, try asking questions like, "How do you usually spend your days? What kind of projects are you involved in lately?" These are open-ended questions. They encourage people to talk more and lead to richer and more meaningful conversations. So remember, speaking English naturally is about showing interest in others, expressing your thoughts clearly, and using polite, friendly phrases. With regular practice, your English will become smooth, confident, and enjoyable to use every day. Keep practicing these sentences, and don't be afraid to try them in real-life conversations. The more you use them, the more natural they will feel. When someone asks you a question about yourself, it is common to give a short answer, like, "I work in marketing." This is correct, but you can make your English sound more fluent and confident by adding details. For example, "I work in marketing," focusing on campaigns that connect with young audiences and tell meaningful stories. This small addition shows that you are not only fluent, but also able to give depth to your answers. Expressing your emotions and reactions is another way to sound natural. Instead of saying, "I am happy" or "I am sad," you can add details or context like, "I was genuinely thrilled when I heard the news. I felt a bit overwhelmed at first, but it turned out well in the end." Using adjectives, adverbs, and short explanations makes your English more expressive and engaging. Even in professional situations, you can sound natural and polite while still being clear. Learning to add small details in conversations helps your English feel alive, personal, and fluent. By practicing these phrases every day, you will notice a big improvement in your speaking skills. You will feel more confident, express yourself clearly, and make conversations interesting and engaging. Small changes in how you ask questions, share opinions, talk about past experiences, and express feelings can make your English sound much more natural. Over time, these new ways of speaking will become automatic, and your English will feel effortless, friendly, and professional. Writing emails or messages is also a great place to practice natural English. Instead of writing very short sentences, try slightly longer and thoughtful sentences. For example, instead of, "Please see the attached document," you can write, "I have attached the document for your review, and I would be glad to hear your thoughts when you have a moment." This shows respect for the other person's time and makes your writing sound professional. Instead of saying simply, "I agree," you can write, "I completely agree with your point, and I think this approach will help us achieve our goal more effectively." This gives more clarity and shows that you are confident in your opinion. Giving compliments or feedback is another way to sound natural. Instead of very common phrases, try, "I really admire how you handled that situation. Your presentation was very insightful and clearly reflected your expertise. I appreciate the way you structured your argument. It was very convincing." These sentences are simple, friendly, and thoughtful. They show that you notice details and can express appreciation meaningfully. Talking about plans, schedules, or upcoming tasks can feel awkward for learners. Instead of saying, "I will do this tomorrow," you can say, "I plan to finish this project tomorrow and then focus on preparing for the meeting on Wednesday. My schedule tomorrow is quite full, but I will make time to complete this task in the morning." These sentences show organization and clarity and sound much more natural than short, abrupt statements. When asking someone about their plans, you can also make your questions smoother. How does your week look? Are you planning to attend the seminar on Friday? Do you have any specific projects you are focusing on next week? These are polite and natural ways to ask about schedules without sounding stiff. In social conversations, talking about experiences or sharing stories is very common. Instead of saying, "I went to the beach," you can expand it. "I spent the weekend at the beach, enjoying the fresh air and the sound of the waves. It was very relaxing, and I took some time to read a few chapters of a book I had been meaning to finish. I recently tried a new restaurant downtown. The food was amazing, the atmosphere was very welcoming, and I spent a wonderful evening with friends discussing our plans." These sentences feel alive, give context, and make your English more vivid and engaging. Adding small details, feelings, or explanations helps people understand you better. Whether it's writing emails, giving feedback, talking about plans, or sharing experiences, using longer, thoughtful sentences will make you sound confident, fluent, and friendly. You don't need complicated words, just small improvements in how you structure your sentences make a big difference. When talking about long-term plans, adding details makes your English more advanced. For example, instead of, "I will work on this project," you can say, "I plan to focus on completing the project in stages over the next few months," which will allow us to manage resources efficiently and track progress clearly. Small details like this make your language precise, professional, and thoughtful. Giving opinions or participating in discussions is another opportunity to sound natural. Many learners stop at short sentences like, "I disagree. This is correct, but very basic." You can expand it politely. "I see your point, but I have a slightly different perspective based on my experience. While I understand your argument, I think there are other factors we should consider before making a final decision. It seems to me that the best approach would involve multiple steps rather than a single solution. From what I have observed, there are benefits to both approaches depending on the context." These ways of speaking allow you to disagree politely while showing fluency and thoughtfulness. When you want to suggest something, avoid very short sentences like, "Try this." Instead, you can say things like, "One approach you might consider is to break the project into smaller tasks. This could make it more manageable and allow you to monitor progress effectively. Have you thought about approaching the problem from a different angle?" Sometimes a new perspective reveals solutions that are not immediately obvious. These sentences are polite, professional, and natural. They are useful in workplaces, classrooms, and group projects. By phrasing suggestions carefully, you communicate clearly without sounding abrupt or too direct. Explaining reasons or causes. Learners often rely on simple words like because or so. While these are correct, you can make your sentences more fluent and advanced by expanding them. For example, instead of, "I suggest this approach because it is better," you can say, "The reason I suggest this approach is that it allows for more flexibility in scheduling and ensures that no step is overlooked. This happened primarily due to unexpected changes in the market, which required us to adjust our strategy quickly." You can even combine multiple ideas in one sentence to make your English sound more connected and professional. Adding details and showing thoughtfulness helps your English flow naturally in almost any situation. Expressing decisions and reasons. When explaining decisions, you can use longer sentences instead of very short ones. For example, instead of, "We postpone the meeting," you can say, "We decided to postpone the meeting because several team members were unavailable, and we wanted to ensure that everyone could contribute to the discussion meaningfully." These sentences are clear, natural, and professional, and they show that you are thoughtful in how you communicate. Expressing preferences and comparisons. You can also make your English richer by explaining preferences. Instead of, "I like coffee," you can say, "I usually prefer coffee in the morning because it helps me start the day with more energy and focus." I tend to enjoy green tea in the afternoon when I need a lighter boost without feeling jittery. When comparing options, you can add reasoning. I enjoy hiking more than running because it allows me to appreciate nature and take my time exploring trails. Although I like both options, I find reading at home more relaxing than watching television because it engages my mind differently. These small details make your English vivid, interesting, and thoughtful. Asking for clarification or opinions. Instead of short phrases like, "Can you explain?" or "I don't understand," you can say, "Could you elaborate on that point a little more? I want to make sure I understand your perspective fully. I am not entirely clear about the process. Would you mind walking me through the steps one more time?" To ask for opinions politely, try, "What is your take on this situation? I would like to hear your perspective before making a decision. How do you see this issue unfolding in the next few months?" These sentences are respectful, thoughtful, and natural. They invite conversation and show strong communication skills. Reporting progress and updates. When reporting work or projects, longer, natural sentences make your English sound professional. Instead of, "I finished the work," you can say, "I completed the task ahead of schedule and made sure all details were carefully reviewed. I have finished the project and documented all the results for the team so that everyone can follow up easily. The project has progressed smoothly, and I was able to address several issues proactively before they became major problems." These sentences show organization, clarity, and professionalism. They also make your English sound confident and polished. Expressing hypothetical situations. Instead of very simple sentences like, "If it rains, we will stay inside," you can say, "If the weather does not improve, we will need to adjust our plans and hold the meeting indoors." This will ensure that everyone remains comfortable and productive. Had we known about the scheduled change earlier, we could have prepared differently and avoided last-minute adjustments. Using these more advanced structures makes your English sound thoughtful, natural, and professional. Summary. By practicing these techniques, you will make suggestions politely, explain reasons and decisions clearly, express preferences and comparisons, ask for clarification and opinions respectfully, report progress professionally, talk about hypothetical situations naturally. Adding details, thoughtfulness, and polite expressions will make your English flow smoothly, whether in professional settings or casual conversations. Over time, these patterns will become automatic, and your English will sound confident, fluent, and clear. When talking about your feelings, try to go beyond very simple sentences like, "I am happy" or "I am sad." Instead, you can add details and context to make your English more natural and expressive. For example, "I felt genuinely thrilled when I received the news, as it confirmed that all our efforts had paid off. I was deeply moved by the way everyone came together to support the project, and it made me appreciate the team even more." When sharing disappointment, you can say, "I was quite disappointed by the outcome, especially because I had hoped for a more positive result, but I understand that certain factors were beyond our control. Although the situation was not ideal, I learned a lot from the experience, and it will help me approach similar challenges more effectively in the future." These sentences show emotional depth, thoughtfulness, and make your English sound natural and relatable. Reacting to other people. Instead of giving short responses like, "That's good" or "That's bad," you can respond in ways that show genuine attention and thoughtfulness. "I am really impressed by the progress you've made on this project. I see where you're coming from, but I think we could approach this in a slightly different way to get the best result." You can also show agreement or surprise naturally. "I completely agree with your suggestion, and I think implementing it will improve the overall outcome. You bring up a good point, and I think considering both options will help us make a stronger decision. I was genuinely surprised by the outcome, but I can see how it unfolded given the circumstances." Adding small details or reflections makes your reactions feel genuine, thoughtful, and professional. Polite disagreement. Disagreeing in English can be done politely and smoothly. Instead of saying just, "I disagree," you can expand your sentences. "I understand your perspective, but I see the situation differently based on my experience and observations." "Well, I appreciate your point. I believe that considering alternative approaches could lead to a better outcome." "I see where you're coming from, but I would suggest looking at the issue from another angle to fully understand all the implications. Although I respect your opinion, I have some reservations that I would like to discuss before we proceed." These sentences allow you to have constructive discussions without sounding confrontational, which is especially useful in professional, academic, or problem-solving conversations. Suggesting alternatives and compromises. When suggesting alternatives, you can sound polite and professional rather than just rejecting an idea. Given the current resources, it might be challenging to implement this plan exactly as proposed, but we could explore alternative solutions that achieve the same goal. "I see your suggestion, and it has merit, but I think we could enhance its effectiveness by adjusting a few details. Perhaps we can find a middle ground that satisfies both parties while maintaining the overall objectives." These sentences show that you are thinking carefully about solutions and are able to communicate in a constructive, professional, and natural way. In professional, academic, or social settings, it's important to communicate thoughtfully. Instead of giving a short answer like, "We can try both approaches," you can say, "One possible solution could be to combine elements from both approaches, ensuring that we address the key concerns without compromising quality." This sentence is polite, professional, and thoughtful. Using natural sentences like this helps you communicate clearly in teamwork, negotiations, or group discussions. Storytelling in English. Storytelling is a key skill for advanced learners. Sharing experiences with details makes conversations engaging and natural. Instead of saying, "I went to a city," you can say, "Last summer, I visited Barcelona, and it was an incredible experience. I explored the historic streets, enjoyed the local cuisine, and met fascinating people who shared their perspectives on life in the city. During my trip to Kyoto, I participated in a traditional tea ceremony. It gave me insight into the culture and history of the area. It was relaxing and enlightening, and I gained a new appreciation for the art of hospitality." Adding details, context, and personal reflections makes your storytelling richer, more expressive, and engaging. Asking and answering questions naturally. In casual conversations, asking and answering questions naturally is very important. Instead of asking, "What do you like?" you can ask, "What kinds of activities do you usually enjoy in your free time? Which hobbies or interests have been keeping you busy lately?" When responding, avoid short answers like, "I like reading." Instead, try, "I have been reading a lot of contemporary fiction recently, and I really enjoy exploring the themes and perspectives presented by different authors. I usually spend my weekends hiking in the nearby hills, as it allows me to stay active while enjoying the natural scenery." These sentences are expressive, show personality, and make conversations more engaging. Expressing uncertainty and seeking advice. Instead of saying, "I don't know," or "What should I do?" you can say, "I am not entirely sure how to approach this situation, and I would appreciate your perspective. I am considering a few options, but I would like your advice before making a final decision. Which option do you think would be most effective, given your experience? How would you handle this if you were in my position?" These sentences are polite, professional, and natural. They show that you are open to guidance, thoughtful, and clear in communication. Talking about future plans. When discussing plans or possibilities, using detailed and natural sentences makes your English sound confident and professional. Instead of saying, "I will do it," you can say, "I plan to complete the project by the end of the week, and I will follow up with a summary of the results to ensure everyone is informed." Assuming the resources are available, I am hoping to initiate the next phase of the project next month. These sentences are organized, clear, and professional, and they show that you are thinking ahead. Summary. By practicing these patterns, you will be able to communicate naturally in professional and social settings. Tell engaging stories with details and reflections. Ask and answer questions in a polite and expressive way. Express uncertainty and seek advice respectfully. Talk about future plans confidently and clearly. Using detailed sentences, adding context, reflections, and thoughtfulness will make your English fluent, expressive, and professional. Over time, these natural patterns will become second nature, and your conversations will feel richer, engaging, and confident in any situation. Instead of using very simple sentences, you can communicate intention, possibility, and planning in a clear way. For example, if we proceed with this plan, it is likely that we will see improved efficiency and better collaboration across the team. Should any unexpected challenges arise, I am confident that we can address them proactively and maintain progress. These sentences show that you are thinking ahead and can communicate professionally. Describing daily habits and routines. Advanced English allows you to add context and details to make sentences sound more natural. Instead of saying, "I exercise," you can say, "I try to exercise regularly because it helps me maintain my energy levels and focus throughout the day. I usually spend an hour in the evening running or doing yoga, which allows me to relax and recharge after a busy day." You can also describe patterns or preferences. I tend to read more in the morning when my mind is fresh and I can concentrate fully. I usually prepare my meals in advance during the weekend to make the weekdays less stressful. These small details make your English richer, more expressive, and easier to connect with in conversation. Expressing gratitude and appreciation. Instead of only saying, "Thank you," you can say, "I really appreciate your help with this project. It made a big difference. Thank you for taking the time to explain that to me. Your guidance was very helpful." In social situations, you can say, "I am grateful for the way you handled that situation. It really shows your thoughtfulness and care. I truly value your perspective, and it has helped me make a better decision." These natural sentences demonstrate politeness, professionalism, and emotional intelligence. Giving feedback. Instead of just saying, "This is good," you can provide detailed and constructive comments. "I really like the way you approached this task, especially your attention to detail and the clear structure you used. Your analysis was thorough, and I appreciate how you considered multiple perspectives before reaching a conclusion." When offering constructive feedback, "You did a great job overall, and one area to focus on might be adding more examples to support your points, which would make your argument even stronger. I found your presentation very engaging, and it could be even more effective if you included some visual aids to illustrate the main ideas." These sentences make your English professional, thoughtful, and natural. Making polite requests. Instead of saying, "Can you do this?" you can say, "Would you be able to help me with this task when you have a moment? I would really appreciate your input. If it is not too much trouble, could you review this report and provide your feedback?" You can also suggest flexibility. "Whenever you have time, could you go over these documents and share your thoughts? If possible, could you assist me in preparing the presentation for next week?" These sentences are polite, professional, and considerate of the other person's time and effort. Instead of simple sentences like, "I like tea," you can say, "I generally prefer tea in the evening because it helps me relax after a long day. I enjoy trying different types of coffee, especially those with unique flavors from various regions." When comparing preferences, "I enjoy reading novels more than watching television because reading allows me to fully immerse myself in the story and reflect on the ideas." Although I like both activities, I find hiking more refreshing than running because it combines physical activity with the opportunity to enjoy nature. For expressing opinions more clearly. From my perspective, this approach seems most effective because it addresses multiple challenges simultaneously. In my opinion, the solution should balance practicality with creativity to achieve the best results. These sentences show nuance, fluency, and thoughtfulness in conversations. Polite disagreement. Instead of short phrases like, I disagree or you are wrong, you can say, well, I understand your argument, but I believe that considering long-term implications is crucial before making a decision. Although your point is valid, I would suggest examining alternative options to ensure all factors are taken into account. I see your perspective, but I would like to offer another approach that could also be relevant. I appreciate your opinion, and I think there may be another method worth considering. These sentences allow for polite, constructive dialogue in social, professional, and academic situations, making suggestions and recommendations. Instead of saying, do this, you can say, one idea you might consider is dividing the project into smaller tasks, which could make it easier to manage and track progress. Have you thought about approaching this challenge from a different angle? Sometimes a fresh perspective can reveal solutions that are not immediately obvious. These sentences are polite, professional, and collaborative, suitable for work, school, or group projects. Asking for opinions naturally. Instead of simply asking, what do you think? You can say, I would love to hear your thoughts on this matter, as your experience could provide valuable insight. Could you share your perspective on this situation? I am interested in understanding your viewpoint fully. How do you usually approach challenges like this? What factors do you consider when making decisions in similar situations? These sentences show engagement, thoughtfulness, and advanced conversational skills. Talking about experiences. Instead of, I visited a museum, you can say, I visited the art museum last weekend, and I was fascinated by the way the exhibits were curated. Each piece told a story, and I gained a deeper understanding of the artistic movements represented. During my trip to Paris, I explored various historic sites and was particularly impressed by the attention to detail in the architecture, which reflected the rich cultural heritage of the city. Adding context, reflections, and descriptive details makes your English more thoughtful, fluent, and engaging. Expressing certainty and uncertainty. Advanced English also allows you to express confidence or hesitation naturally. Instead of saying, I'm sure or I don't know, you can say, I am confident that this approach will yield positive results based on previous experiences and careful planning. I am not entirely certain which option would be most effective, and I would appreciate your perspective before making a final decision. Considering the current circumstances, I believe this solution might work, but we should remain flexible in case adjustments are needed. These sentences show thoughtfulness and clear communication in both professional and casual settings. Instead of saying simple sentences like, I am sure or I don't know, you can say, I am confident that this approach will work because it has been tested in similar situations. I am not entirely certain about the details, and I would like to gather more information before making a decision. I am considering several options, and I am open to suggestions to ensure we choose the best path forward. These sentences communicate careful thinking, professionalism, and clarity. Giving advice politely. Instead of direct commands like, you should do this, you can say, it might be helpful to review the data thoroughly before making a decision, as this could reveal trends that are not immediately obvious. One approach to consider is breaking the project into smaller steps, which could make it more manageable and less overwhelming. Another possibility might be to consult with the team to gain multiple perspectives before finalizing the plan. If it suits your schedule, you could try prioritizing tasks based on urgency and importance to improve efficiency. These sentences sound professional, thoughtful, and collaborative, perfect for workplaces, academic settings, or group projects. Talking about changes and improvements. Instead of saying, "I changed it," you can say, "I made a few adjustments to the proposal to better align it with the current objectives and ensure it addresses all key concerns." After reviewing the feedback, I revised the plan to include more detailed explanations and actionable steps. I have been refining my approach to time management, and I am seeing gradual but meaningful progress in productivity. Our team is continuously working on improving communication strategies to ensure everyone is informed and engaged. These sentences show clarity, attention to detail, and professionalism. Expressing hypothetical situations. Instead of saying, "If I go, I will see him," you can say, "If I attend the meeting tomorrow, I will have the opportunity to discuss the project updates directly with the team." Had we planned the schedule earlier, we could have avoided last-minute adjustments and ensured a smoother workflow. Using these structures demonstrates fluency with complex grammar while keeping your sentences clear. Talking about future possibilities. Instead of saying, "If I attend the conference next week, I hope to meet experts," you can say, "If I attend the conference next week, I hope to meet several experts in the field and discuss potential collaborations." If the project goes as planned, I anticipate seeing improved efficiency and stronger team collaboration. Should any unexpected challenges arise, I am confident we can address them proactively while maintaining progress. These sentences add context, purpose, and show thoughtful planning. Why these skills are important. By using natural and detailed sentences for uncertainty, advice, changes, and future possibilities, your English becomes more engaging, fluent, and professional. You show thoughtfulness, respect for others' opinions, and clear communication. Your conversations in social, academic, and professional settings will feel smoother and leave a positive impression. Remember, advanced English is not just about being correct. It is about making your communication expressive, impactful, and natural. Practicing these patterns regularly will allow you to handle discussions, problem-solving, collaborations, and complex conversations with confidence and ease. Instead of saying simple sentences like, "Had I known, I could have done better," you can say, "Had I known about the changes earlier, I could have prepared a more detailed report to support our proposal. If I had received the data sooner, I would have been able to provide a more thorough analysis." These sentences show reflection, careful consideration, and thoughtfulness, which are key elements of advanced English. Talking about possibilities. Instead of simple statements, you can frame possibilities with nuance. If circumstances allow, we could consider expanding the project to include additional participants, which might yield richer insights. Should any unexpected challenges arise, we will need to adapt our strategy quickly to maintain progress. These sentences show fluency with complex grammar while keeping your meaning clear and natural. Giving professional updates. Instead of saying, "I finished the report," you can say, "I have completed the report and ensured that all sections address the key points discussed in our last meeting. I would be glad to review it together to make sure nothing has been overlooked. The project update has been prepared, and I have included recommendations based on the latest data to guide our next steps effectively. I wanted to share the progress we have made so far and highlight a few areas where additional input would be valuable to ensure the project moves forward smoothly. The team has made significant progress, and I have documented all milestones to maintain transparency and facilitate decision-making." These sentences communicate clarity, confidence, and professionalism. Expressing subtle emotions and reactions. Instead of simple phrases like, "I am nervous" or "I am happy," you can say, "I felt slightly anxious before presenting because it was an important topic, but I was able to focus and convey my points clearly." Although I was a little uncertain about the outcome, I remained confident in my preparation and handled the situation successfully. I felt genuinely thrilled when the project was completed successfully, as it reflected the team's hard work and dedication. I was really pleased with the way the meeting went, and it reinforced my confidence in our collaborative approach. I was genuinely excited when the opportunity arose because it aligned perfectly with my goals and allowed me to contribute meaningfully. I felt a strong sense of satisfaction seeing our efforts result in a successful outcome that benefited everyone involved. These sentences add emotional depth, make your language expressive, and show thoughtfulness. Advanced storytelling. Instead of saying, "I traveled to Italy," you can say, "During my trip to Italy, I explored several cities and experienced the rich history and culture firsthand. I visited museums, attended local events, and had the opportunity to engage with residents, which made the experience both educational and enjoyable. I spent a week in Rome walking through historic streets and learning about the architecture that has influenced generations of artists and engineers." Adding details, context, and reflections makes your storytelling more engaging and your English feel natural, fluent, and professional. Adding specific details, reflections, and personal experiences makes your storytelling natural, memorable, and engaging. For example, "The journey gave me a deeper appreciation for the history and traditions of the city. During my trip to Italy, I explored several cities, visited museums, attended local events, and engaged with residents, which made the experience both educational and enjoyable." These sentences show thoughtfulness and make your language richer and more professional. Polite persuasion and suggestions. Instead of saying, "You must do this," you can say, "I believe this approach could be very effective because it addresses multiple concerns and aligns with our overall objectives. I would recommend considering it. Based on my experience, adopting this strategy could lead to better results, and it might be worthwhile to evaluate it carefully before making a final decision. It might be useful to explore this option further, as it could complement our existing plan and provide additional benefits. Have you considered this approach? It seems to address the challenges we discussed and could improve efficiency significantly. These sentences sound professional, respectful, and persuasive without being forceful, and they are useful in professional, academic, and collaborative contexts. Making polite suggestions. Instead of saying, "You should try this," you can say, "One idea to consider might be organizing the tasks in order of priority to ensure the most critical elements are addressed first. It may be helpful to set clear milestones and deadlines to monitor progress and keep the team aligned. Perhaps we could explore a different approach that allows for more flexibility and reduces potential risks." Another option might be to gather input from multiple stakeholders to ensure we have a comprehensive understanding of the situation. These sentences communicate professionalism and collaborative thinking. Conversational English with friends or colleagues. Instead of saying, "I am fine," you can say, "I have been keeping busy with work and personal projects, and I am enjoying the balance between productivity and relaxation. Things have been going well. Although it has been a hectic week, I am finding ways to manage my time effectively while still making room for enjoyable activities." When asking about others, instead of, "How are you?" you can say, "How has your week been? Have you been able to work on any interesting projects lately? What have you been up to recently? I am curious to hear about any new experiences you have had." These sentences encourage richer conversations and sound natural and fluent. Expressing cause and effect. Instead of saying, "It happened because," you can say, "The delay occurred due to unexpected changes in the schedule, which required us to adjust our plans and coordinate with multiple teams." The success of the event can be attributed to careful planning, strong collaboration among team members, and proactive problem-solving. These sentences make explanations precise, professional, and easy to understand. Sharing opinions and discussing differing views. Instead of saying, "I think this is good," you can say, "From my perspective, this approach seems most effective because it addresses multiple challenges at once. In my opinion, the solution should balance practicality and creativity to achieve the best results." When discussing differing viewpoints, "Well, I understand your argument, but I believe it is important to consider long-term implications before making a decision. Although your point is valid, I would suggest examining alternative options to ensure all factors are considered." These sentences show respect, critical thinking, and fluency. Expressing emotions naturally. Instead of saying, "I am happy" or "I am nervous," you can say, "I felt genuinely thrilled when the opportunity arose because it allowed me to contribute meaningfully. I felt satisfied seeing our efforts result in a successful outcome that benefited everyone involved. I felt slightly anxious before presenting, but I focused on my preparation and managed to convey my points clearly." These sentences add nuance, depth, and authenticity to your English. Explaining situations clearly. Instead of saying, "It succeeded because of careful planning," you can say, "The project succeeded due to careful planning, clear communication among team members, and consistent follow-up on key tasks." These sentences make your explanations professional, natural, and precise. Expressing teamwork and professional achievements. Instead of short statements like, "We succeeded," you can say, "The project faced several challenges, including resource limitations and tight deadlines, but the team's commitment ensured that we achieved all objectives on time. The success of the project was due to careful planning, effective teamwork, and the dedication of everyone involved." These sentences convey professionalism, clarity, and detailed information naturally. Hypothetical situations and possibilities. Instead of simple sentences like, "If I go, I will see him," you can say, "If I attend the seminar next week, I hope to meet experts in the field and discuss potential collaborations that could benefit both of our teams. Had I prepared more thoroughly in advance, I could have presented my ideas more confidently and addressed questions more effectively. If we implement this plan, we are likely to see significant improvements in efficiency and collaboration, and we should be ready to adapt quickly if unexpected challenges arise." These sentences show fluency with complex grammar while keeping communication professional and clear. Describing events and experiences. Instead of saying, "I watched a movie," you can say, "I watched a film last night that explored complex themes of identity and personal growth. The storyline was engaging, and the characters were portrayed with depth, which made the experience thought-provoking and enjoyable. I attended a lecture on climate change where the speaker presented compelling data and practical solutions. It was enlightening and inspired me to think about how I can contribute positively in my own life." Adding context, reflections, and details makes your sentences sound natural, sophisticated, and engaging. Discussing plans and intentions. Instead of, "I will do this tomorrow," you can say, "I plan to complete this task tomorrow morning and then focus on preparing for the meeting in the afternoon. My schedule tomorrow is quite full, but I will make time to finish this project before the end of the day. If additional tasks come up, I will adjust my schedule accordingly to accommodate them. Depending on how the day unfolds, I may spend extra time refining the details to achieve the best possible outcome." These sentences demonstrate foresight, clarity, and professional fluency. Expressing preferences. Instead of simple statements like, "I like reading," you can say, "I enjoy reading historical novels because they provide insight into different cultures and periods and allow me to reflect on human behavior across time. I usually prefer watching documentaries on science and technology as they give me a deeper understanding of the world and inspire new ideas for my work." When comparing preferences. I tend to enjoy outdoor activities more than indoor ones because being in nature helps me recharge and think creatively. Although I like both, I find cooking at home more satisfying than eating out as it allows me to experiment with flavors and try new recipes. These sentences show thoughtfulness, personal reflection, and advanced fluency. Handling disagreements politely. Instead of, I disagree with you, you can say, I understand your point and I see the reasoning behind it, but I have a slightly different perspective that I believe is worth considering. While I respect your viewpoint, I think we might need to take additional factors into account to reach a comprehensive conclusion. I see where you're coming from, and I would like to explore another possibility that could complement your idea. Although I agree with parts of your argument, I believe that considering alternative options might give a fuller perspective. These sentences allow constructive, respectful dialogue and demonstrate advanced communication skills. This section covers expressing teamwork and achievements, hypothetical situations and possibilities, detailed descriptions of events and experiences, discussing plans and intentions, expressing preferences naturally, handling disagreements politely. Instead of saying, I disagree, you can use, I believe additional factors should be considered to get a complete picture. I would like to offer an alternative suggestion that could complement your idea. Although I agree with parts of your argument, I think examining the situation from another angle could provide a clearer understanding. These sentences allow for constructive dialogue and demonstrate advanced conversational skills. Giving complex advice naturally. Instead of saying you should do this, try. It may be beneficial to approach this project step by step, ensuring that each stage is completed thoroughly before moving on to the next. This strategy could help prevent errors and maintain quality. I would suggest considering different perspectives before making a decision, as this could provide a more balanced view and reduce potential risks. One possibility to explore might be gathering feedback from the team to ensure all ideas are considered and the final plan is well-rounded. If you focus on prioritizing key tasks, you may find it easier to manage your workload and achieve your objectives more efficiently. These sentences sound natural, professional, and thoughtful. Expressing reactions and emotions. Instead of saying, I am surprised, or I am happy, you can say, I was genuinely surprised by the outcome as it was very different from what I expected, but I can see why it happened when considering all the factors. I felt a sense of relief and satisfaction when the issue was resolved smoothly, as it reflected careful planning and teamwork. I was really impressed by how skillfully you handled the situation. I greatly admired the creativity and thoughtfulness behind the solution, which showed a high level of problem-solving ability. These sentences convey emotions naturally while remaining professional and expressive. Making polite requests. Instead of saying, can you help me? Try, would you be able to assist me with this task when you have some time? Your input would be highly appreciated. If it is convenient, could you provide feedback on my report? It would help me improve the quality and accuracy of the information presented. I would be grateful if you could review the proposal and share your perspective on how we might optimize it. Whenever you have a moment, could you go over these documents and ensure that all sections are clear and complete? These sentences convey respect, clarity, and fluency. Engaging others in conversations. Instead of asking, what do you think? You can say, I would be interested to hear your thoughts on this matter, as your expertise and experience could provide valuable insight. Could you share your perspective on the situation? I am eager to understand your viewpoint fully before making any decisions. When responding in detail, instead of, I think it is good. From my point of view, the plan is quite effective because it addresses the key challenges and provides a clear framework for achieving the objectives. Additionally, it allows for flexibility to adapt to unforeseen circumstances. These sentences demonstrate careful thought, clarity, and fluency. Expressing gratitude and appreciation. Instead of just saying, thank you, you can say, I truly appreciate the effort and time you put into helping me with this project. Your guidance made a significant difference in the outcome. I am grateful for your support and advice, which allowed me to approach the task more confidently. Thank you for taking the time to check in on me earlier. It really meant a lot and brightened my day. I appreciate your patience and understanding while I clarified the details. Your support made the process much smoother. These sentences convey genuine emotion and sophistication. Discussing future possibilities and outcomes. Instead of saying, "I will try this," I plan to implement this strategy in the coming weeks to assess its effectiveness and make necessary adjustments based on the results. Assuming everything proceeds as expected, I hope to complete the initial phase of the project by the end of the month and then review progress with the team. If we proceed with this approach, it is likely that we will see improved efficiency and better collaboration. However, we should remain prepared for any challenges that might arise. Should any unforeseen obstacles occur, we can adjust our strategy to ensure the objectives are still achieved successfully. These sentences sound professional, confident, and fluent. Adding depth to experiences. Instead of saying, "I went to a park," I spent the afternoon at the city park enjoying the fresh air and observing the various activities taking place. I noticed families having picnics, children playing games, and people walking their dogs, which made the atmosphere lively and welcoming. During my visit to the botanical garden, I explored several sections showcasing different plant species and learned a lot about the ecosystems and how they are maintained. It was both educational and relaxing. Adding observations and reflections makes sentences engaging, natural, and sophisticated. Expressing hypothetical situations. Instead of, "If I see him, I will ask," you can say, "If I have the opportunity to meet him, I will ask for his insights on the project and discuss potential solutions collaboratively." Using natural hypothetical constructions shows advanced fluency and professionalism. Instead of saying, "If I see him, I will ask," you can say, "If I have the opportunity to speak with him, I will ask for his insights on the project and see if he has any suggestions to improve our approach." Had I received the information earlier, I could have prepared a more detailed analysis and presented it more effectively during the meeting. If the weather remains favorable, we could hold the outdoor event as planned, but we should have a contingency plan ready in case conditions change unexpectedly. These sentences demonstrate advanced grammar while keeping communication natural and professional. Advanced storytelling. Instead of saying, "I visited a city," you can say, "During my trip to London, I not only explored famous landmarks, but also interacted with local residents, which gave me a deeper understanding of the culture and daily life in the city. When I visited Tokyo, I had the opportunity to see the city through the eyes of a local guide who shared fascinating stories about traditions, history, and the evolution of modern urban life." Adding depth, context, and reflection makes storytelling more engaging and natural. Nuanced agreement and disagreement. Instead of saying, "I agree" or "I disagree," you can say, "I see your point and I agree with many aspects of your argument, especially the emphasis on practical solutions. However, I think it is also important to consider the long-term implications. I understand your perspective, but I believe we need to examine additional factors before reaching a conclusion. This will help us make a more informed decision. I can appreciate your reasoning, and while I continue with a contrasting but respectful perspective, I have some reservations. I think the approach could work if certain adjustments are made. Your argument is convincing, and I would like to build on it by suggesting a complementary strategy that could enhance the overall outcome." These expressions show sophistication, respect, and fluency. Polite negotiation. Instead of saying, "I do not agree with you," try, "I understand your proposal, and it has several strengths. I wonder if we could explore a compromise that addresses both of our concerns effectively." Your suggestion is valid, and I think we can combine it with another approach to achieve the best possible result. One way to proceed might be to allocate resources differently to ensure that both objectives are met without overburdening any team member. If we adjust the timeline slightly, we could maintain quality while accommodating the availability of key participants. These sentences sound natural, collaborative, and professional. Expressing subtle emotions. Instead of saying, "I am happy" or "I am sad," "I was genuinely touched by your thoughtful gesture. It made me feel appreciated and supported." I felt a sense of relief and satisfaction when the issue was resolved because it reflected careful planning and teamwork. I was a little disappointed by the outcome, though I understand the circumstances were challenging and everyone did their best. Although the results were not what I expected, I see this as an opportunity to learn and improve for future situations. These sentences communicate emotions naturally without exaggeration. Natural daily expressions. Instead of saying, "I am tired," "I am feeling a bit drained after a long day of meetings and tasks, and I plan to take some time to recharge this evening. I have had a full day balancing work responsibilities and personal commitments, so I'm looking forward to a quiet evening to relax." Instead of saying, "I am busy," "I am currently occupied with several important projects that require careful attention and planning, but I am making steady progress. My schedule today is quite packed with meetings and deadlines, so I am focusing on prioritizing tasks to stay on track." These sentences sound detailed, natural, and fluent. Giving detailed examples. Instead of saying, "I like sports," "I enjoy playing basketball because it challenges me physically and mentally, provides an opportunity to connect with friends, and improves teamwork skills. I usually go swimming on weekends as it allows me to exercise, relax, and focus on personal goals in a peaceful environment." Comparative examples. I find outdoor activities more rewarding than indoor ones because they allow me to experience nature and engage in physical challenges simultaneously. Although I enjoy both painting and drawing, I prefer drawing because it gives me more control over details and allows me to experiment with techniques. These sentences add clarity, sophistication, and natural fluency. Polite suggestions. Instead of saying, "You should try this," it might be useful to explore this option, as it could provide a new perspective and lead to better outcomes. One approach worth considering is to prioritize tasks based on urgency and importance, which could improve efficiency and reduce stress. These sentences sound thoughtful, professional, and persuasive.